What's up, everybody? What is up? Welcome to the Week 7 edition of the Swolecast, here presented by FantasyInsiders.com. Also, shout out to our sponsor, the Draft app. Go to playdraft.com/insiders, and you too can draft. Send me a request, playdraft.com/soccerdave, and let's go up head-to-head against each other. It's going to be a good show. It's going to be a solid forward-thinking show. But before we forward think, I want to apologize for Tavon Austin on behalf of myself and Davis Mattek. And then
I didn't play Tavon.
Oh, but you recommended him. You said he was definitely a thing.
But Jalen Strong, he gave you the easy out.
Yeah,
I said as much in our alerts on FantasyInsiders.com.
Yes.
Strong, Jalen Strong. Too.
Boy, Strong was something. David Kitchen here, joined by Dan Gaspar, Mr. Total 05, Davis Mattek, Evan Silva. Evan, shout out to you for the Brandon Cooks call. Like, it was mainly on 2 catches, but how quickly did you remove your pants whenever that long Brandon Cooks touchdown happened?
Well, I was at a wedding and I didn't really know what was going on, and I started getting all these alerts on Twitter. I'm just glad that people benefited from that, and I want our listeners to do really well. I do have a request. It's more like a mandate that we never ever put fucking Tavon Austin in one of the lineups again.
100% agree. 100%.
And not only that, but we can never mention his name on this show. And if you mention his name on the show, you gotta be muted for at least the next 10 minutes.
All right.
I'm on board.
You can play him, but you do that on your own time. Okay, you can play him, but we're not talking about him anymore.
If you get a 10-minute timeout, I have a feeling this is gonna turn into us trying to fish Soccer Dave into saying Tavon Austin.
Oh, Tuttle said it. Tuttle said it.
So we don't have to listen to him for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yep, I'm on board.
Let's talk about Week 8, the news and notes. So I feel like this is going to be we've already had some value open up at the running back position. We got more value opened up at the running back position. So it just kind of seems like this is a week opposite of last week that we're going to spend up for wide receivers, and we're going to go cheap at least at one running back spot. The quarterback spot, that's kind of an interesting thing what to do, and a lot of it I think kind of depends on what you're doing at tight end as well. Tuttle, what's your overall take as far as Week 8 roster construction on both sides?
I mean, a lot of it's going to come down to news. Jamal Charles now is the big news. If Charles is out or inactive, I mean, you're locking in Spencer Ware at running back, and then I think you're fine running something like a Spencer Ware. You can even justify Jaquiz on DraftKings. I think you can run him as a number 2 on FanDuel as well. So if you're doing that, then you're obviously just paying up for quarterback and jamming in whatever wide receivers you want.
Yeah. I mean, and there is a potential option to go cheap at quarterback, especially on FanDuel. We'll talk about that in a second. Evan's giddy. He wants to talk about it. Davis, what's your overall take about roster construction this week?
I mean, I think the move is you lock in Jaquiz, you lock in LaShawn McCoy, you lock in Mike Evans, then you add.
Well, LaShawn McCoy, you're done.
I meant DeMarco Murray. So DeMarco Murray, Jaquiz Rodgers, Mike Evans. Those are the 3 stone locks on both sides. I think you just kind of plan from there. On DraftKings, I think you make the choice to go Cameron Brate and AJ Green, or mid-tier, and then Gronkowski, and then whatever cheap wide receivers floating your boat. There's a lot of guys from Tampa in play this week because of the matchup. So I think that's kind of a tricky thing to sort of negotiate in cash games.
Tampa and Indianapolis, both receiving options are limited, so automatically some of those guys are put into play. Evan, let's just jump straight into quarterback, and let's just get it out of the way because people are wanting to know. Hashtag Gino in cash. Is that a thing this week? 5K on FanDuel. On DraftKings, let's not even like consider it. But on FanDuel, is it a thing?
I just have not made any decisions on what I'm going to do at quarterback. There are so many good quarterback players on the board that it makes you kind of want to punt. I mean, I can't lie. I've built some Geno Smith lineups just to see what I could get in, and I mean, you can get in some.
You can get in all three receivers.
Crushers.
Yeah, you can get in all three receivers that you want, and you can play Gronkowski.
Or you can play DeMarco Murray and Spencer Ware and 3 stud receivers in ultimate spots and like Vernon Davis.
Right.
Yep.
You know, I really don't know what to say. Like, I think that we all know that, you know, Jameis is an awesome play. Mariota is an awesome play. Matt Ryan is an awesome play. Tom Brady is an awesome play. Andy Dalton is an awesome play. You can make a case for Kaepernick. It's tough, dude. I haven't decided where I'm going to go yet.
Yeah, it's hard. I was full
Alex.
No, don't even. This is Davis's terrible take of the week.
This is Davis's terrible take of the week. Is that I think Alex.
I want a guy. You know, when I'm constructing lineups, I want a guy that has thrown 300 yards, six of his 126 starts. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, Alex has rushing upside though. Like, I mean, Dalton, Mariota, Bortles, all of these guys are obviously, they have more ceiling. But like, Alex is gonna do fine. He's gonna do fine.
It's
the Saints.
Alex Smith, like Secret Santa says, is a beta play. Just a complete beta play.
I mean, I picked him up in my main seasonal league just to stream him. But as far as like putting actual dollars on him after hedging 50% last week in FanDuel Cash and him rolling out an 8.82, like that, it's just going to be really.
Last week wasn't an Alex week.
I would easily play or bet even on a point per dollar that Geno Smith outscores Alex Smith on a point per dollar.
And they're just going to.
Okay. Yes, booked, Dan.
That's the $2,200 difference between the two.
Total. Are you open to Geno and Cash?
I was originally, and I think I still am, depending on your lineup construction. And obviously, this is strictly FanDuel. Geno's a terrible play on DraftKings. Don't even consider it. There's so many good quarterbacks within the same price range that you can justify it. But on FanDuel, your Geno Smith, I think, is $1,500 less than Kaepernick, which is the next guy you could even possibly consider. I think with all the wide receiver options that you have at the top tier options, I think you can consider Geno Smith and Cash on FanDuel.
Yeah, you just have to make sure those guys are consistent. And again, this week also comes down to tight end, as far as there are some cheapies we'll talk about later that allow you that, like, for me, if I go expensive at tight end, then I have Geno in lineups. If I don't go expensive at tight end, then I can pay up for quarterback.
Guys, don't play Geno. Like, I understand the roster construction reasons. It's not the right play this week.
I mean, all right. Let's
he's not a bad play on FanDuel, and I stand by.
No, not from like a roster construct. Like, you have to kind of take off your NFL analyst hat and just realize that he's minimum salary, and it's just a pure price point play.
I mean, they're not running the ball. The offense is going to suck overall anyways, but they're not running the ball. The only chance at any sort of points, any sort of yards at all is going to come through the air.
Let's talk about some other options. I like Marcus Mariota this week. I like Andy Dalton this week. Andy Dalton currently cash game quarterback on DraftKings. I think his floor is way higher than Alex Smith, just because of they're going to do whatever they want to do. I had a question, though, Evan. What's Joe Hayden looking like for Sunday?
Doubtful, injuries to both groins, not playing. I mean, AJ Green is – I guess people have been saying that Julio is the best play on the board. I think that AJ Green's the best play.
Yes! Anthony Amico, if you're out there, eat it.
Evans is the best play.
No.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, AJ Green and Evans.
Right.
I mean, just play all of them. Though.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Tuttle. You play all of them, but AJ Green. You look at the two good matchups he's had this year. Week 1 against the Jets secondary. Week 4 against that.
I need the Britt Devine in and out of split Rotoviz before I need Britt Devine to say that
just to mush it completely.
That's the only way I can play him.
He combined for 22 catches, 355 yards, and 2 touchdowns in each game. Like if they want to get him the ball, which they will, he's going to absolutely mash this week. So I like AJ Green. I think that they're going to be fine. The bottom line is, whatever the Bengals want to do against this Browns defense, because the offense is going to be so bad, they're going to be able to do it. And that's why I think Andy Dalton has a relatively high floor. Evan, talk to me about guys like Mariota, though.
I mean, the Colts don't get any pressure on the quarterback. Mariota is running a lot lately. I think this is a great spot for Delaney Walker, and he's not going to have any ownership this week because everybody's going to be on the cheap tight ends, and Delaney burned everyone.
Love Delaney.
Last week. Yep, Delaney is an incredible tournament play. I mean, I think that you can play Mariota, DeMarco Murray, and Delaney in the same lineup, and they all could hit really big. We saw last week like the emergence of Kendall Wright as a vertical receiver, which is something that they had been lacking in their first 5 games, and why their offense had been kind of crappy to open the season, because they didn't have anybody that could get down the football field, and that condensed everything. And now Kendall Wright, he was a vertical playmaker at Baylor, and he was a vertical playmaker last week. So, I mean, I love Marcus Mariota. I mean, as much as any of these guys. That's why I have a hard time like paying up for Matt Ryan, because Mariota is in such an amazing spot, and because like Jameis Winston, I think Jameis Winston could crush it. Like I love the Bucks onslaught with Winston. I mean, you could play Winston, Quiz. You could play Mike Evans and Cameron Bray all in the same lineup, and I think that you give yourself a lot of upside.
That's why I think Geno is not the move on FanDuel this week, is because there are like 15 quarterbacks that are legitimately in play.
Bucks on slot with the defense, Davis.
What was that, David?
You paying for the Bucks defense in the onslaught, the Bucks onslaught?
No, but I think Ryan is my number 1 quarterback this week in terms of like raw projected points. That's who, you know, if the value shakes out that way, that's who I want to play. Like if we get Gillislee for sure, or Spencer Ware for sure, if Jamal Charles doesn't play, I'm pretty certain I'm going to end up with Matt Ryan.
I think Spencer Ware is for sure, regardless of whether Jamal Charles is active. I kind of hope that Jamal Charles is active. That will drop down Spencer Ware's ownership, and I mean Spencer Ware is going to crush. But here's the thing: so if we get no LaShawn McCoy on Sunday, you know, are we pivoting to Mike Gillislee and Jacquizz Rodgers, lock them in together in cash?
That's what I did on my Thursday night lineups.
So did I.
And I paired them with Aaron Rodgers and Ty Montgomery on FanDuel.
Wow, that's awesome. Are you kidding me, dude? Did you really do that?
Yeah, I did. And
see, that's the thing.
That is awesome, Soccer.
And that's the thing. Like with all this value opening up at running back, so if Gillislee's a play on FanDuel, you can do that, and then you're obviously paying up at quarterback.
Right. Let's talk about another guy that I've heard other sites mention, and I just cannot like it. Blake Bortles is a cash game quarterback. I just do not want to do. Does anybody have any strong Blake Bortles in cash takes?
I just don't want to embrace the variance that comes with Bortles. Like obviously Bortles could have 330 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Like I don't think anyone would be surprised if he gets to that total. But I also don't think anyone would be surprised if you're sitting there at halftime of the first game and has 1.84 DraftKings points with 2 interceptions. Like that's also completely in play. Whereas I think Mariota with back-to-back weeks of 7+ rushing attempts with at least 5 of those coming on designed runs, like I just feel like Mariota is a much better play. And I'm not even really a Mariota for fantasy guy.
I know about the matchup for Blake Bortles, and it looks so good on paper, but he has one good fantasy game out of 5 and 0 good actually games out of 5. So that, for me, he's tournament only, and I don't even really know if I want to use him in tournaments.
All right. Let's yay or nay to these guys. Matthew Stafford.
No.
Davis.
Just
give us a null wave or something. On the opposite side, Kirk Cousins.
Yes,
little
definitely
bit,
yes.
A little bit. I mean, wish Jordan Reed was playing, but yeah, he's solid. I think he's like a floor play. I don't know what is his ceiling without Jordan Reed.
He's got Vernon Davis.
Lots of D-Jacks.
D-Jacks is banged up too, though.
Lots of Jameis Crowder, fellas.
Lots of Pierre Garçon.
Deshaun Jackson, 5,700 on DraftKings. He's going to go off.
Colin Kaepernick on DK at 5,300.
Yup.
Yes, but probably not.
You got to embrace that volatility. That's volatility I'll embrace, not Blake volatility.
So, but your stance makes no sense when you consider price. There's a much lower gap between Kaepernick on DraftKings and the stud quarterbacks that Evan went through in great spots, as opposed to Geno Smith on FanDuel. DraftKings, how can you play? How can you play Kaepernick for $700 less than Dalton, Mariota, Cousins, those type of guys?
I'm not saying this for cash at all, but also Kaepernick's upside. Kaepernick can have a 28-point DraftKings game, I think. Whereas I think Geno, what percentage of the time does he get to 20 on FanDuel? 10, 15% of the time?
All right.
Geno can be a weak loser, and I tend to not embrace those guys.
Let's open up the DraftKings lineup construction. And while you're doing that, top 5 implied team totals right now. Falcons, Chiefs, Patriots. We didn't really talk about Tom Brady against the Steelers. Bengals, and then Titans, number 5. Interesting. Marcus Mariota. I mean, he almost had 303 and 65 yards rushing last week. Those design runs are so hot for him. All right, can we go Marcus Mariota in our DraftKings lineup?
If that's who you want to pick, David.
I feel like he'd be a good pick.
I'm fine with it.
So let's do it. Mary Goda. Evan?
I'm
All right, Silva.
Spencer Ware, and if on Sunday morning it is revealed that Jamal Charles is playing, do not pull him out. Get more shares.
All right. Total.
I'll go Delaney.
All right, Mike Evans for me.
Green for me.
This is strong.
Silva.
We got some value running backs we could use. Gillislee, Rogers, Mike Davis.
All right, there's a guy I really want, but I'm going to put him in the FanDuel lineup.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, let's go Titans defense against Andrew Luck.
Love it.
Stone minimum.
Yeah, I've got Titans in cash. That is Titans plus Mariota plus Delaney. But with Indy, all you need is one of those pick sixes or scoop and scores.
It's just the Colts give up so many sacks, and the Titans have been getting a lot of sacks.
Yeah.
I think they crush here.
I think 26 sacks they've let up so far this season.
23, but it's the most in the league.
Tuttle?
Trying to think if I want to go disgusting or not.
Usually the answer is yes. We do need a chalky value running back.
I mean, I don't know if we actually need one though.
Yeah, if we're making a tournament lineup, like let's take one of the Patriots running backs. Like they're gonna score 28 points against Pittsburgh.
Well, okay, I'll feel you guys out before I actually make this pick. I wrote this guy up as a GPP option. I hate him. I've hate rostering him all year. It's a way to get exposure to the highest game total of the week.
Devonta?
Nah, Melvin Gordon against Atlanta. He's going to get a lot of receptions. He's got 17 touch floor in the past 5 games.
He's definitely the
He's
woe.
got touchdown ups. He's the woe. But if he's efficient at all with the touches he's been getting, he's easily 20 points.
I'd rather have the opposite side on that and Freeman for $500 less.
No, the sharp play is Coleman, because Coleman will have half the ownership of Freeman because his game logs aren't as good. But he's been, if you look at like PFF grades, he's way better on the touches that he does get. And the Falcons have this giant team total. Coleman is the alpha play.
No, Melvin Gordon is. But I want Evan's take on this running back slot. I'll let Evan. I'll defer my pick to Evan, but I want your take on Melvin Gordon as a GPP play.
I get it. You know, he has touchdown upside. I just don't like him as a player. I mean, I'm right there with you. You know, he's painful. He's painful. And but I mean, that's fine. I thought we were off to such a good start. You know.
I mean, we can be boring and, you know, like go Quiz or Gillisley if we really want.
I mean, it's okay to have one chalky guy in those lineups, as we saw last week.
Well, it's about to be my pick, and I'm about to ruin the lineup anyways.
I mean, I'll take one for the team and go Gillisley, but I'm going to go ahead and put a guarantee on the board for Melvin Gordon, 20 points.
All right.
I mean, let's just do it, man. Let's just do it. Let's play Melvin Gordon.
And people can play Gillisley if they want.
No, all right, Melvin. Okay,
Melvin.
So now with this third wide receiver, we can do one of two things. We can take the boring value with one of the secondary Cincinnati wide receivers with LaFell or Boyd, or we can do the alpha play. What do you guys think I should do? The alpha play,
Golden
or
Tate. Let's chase the points.
Chris Conley? Chris Conley will score a touchdown this week. It would have been, and if I was looking at this position in cash, it would be Adam Humphries, but I really like Chris Conley for tournaments.
That's gross.
It's just complete silence.
Like Evan said, we're off to such a great start. Jaquiz Rogers.
You guys, hey, it's a real play.
Hey, I'll swap out Melvin Gordon if Davis agrees to swap out Chris Conley.
And then can we put in Brandon Marshall?
All right, let's go. Let's see what Gillisley and Marshall get to us.
You guys realize that Conley's like a legit play, though. That I'm not just making this up.
All right, Gillisley and Marshall gets us 3,800 for that flex spot.
Kendall Wright double stack.
Could be. Yeah. Chris Conley, 3,500 if you want to put it. Or you could upgrade potentially if you did not want to go your defense with the quarterback tight end pairing. You could go Patriots.
Yo, we could go Garcon.
We go Patriots or
Dude, Garcon's not bad.
Yeah, I like Garcon. Go Patriots
Garcon's
or
not bad.
Bengals.
Oh yeah, Pierre Garcon, but Chris Conley is completely unconscionable. All right, guys.
We got a couple different situations here.
Yeah, and people can go with that what they will. Garcon leaves you with $100.
The Chiefs have the second highest team total of the week, and you guys are acting like the second wide receiver for the Chiefs is a leper.
We put Spencer Ware in there already. Like you saw,
They're gonna score 35. Like they're gonna crush.
I mean, the second wide receiver for Alex Smith is a leper. Let's be honest here.
I mean, that's a fair take.
And he might be the third wide receiver. I don't know. He might be the second wide receiver over Macklin if it's the red zone. Let's talk about the running back situation. So the chalk plays are going to be Quiz, Gillisley if McCoy doesn't play, Spencer Ware regardless if Spencer Ware is going to be the chalk play if Jamal Charles does not play. Like, people are just going to play him if Jamal Charles is not playing against this New Orleans team. And then the fourth guy is going to be DeMarco Murray. Any other chalk plays that you want to add to that? The two high-end guys, bad situations as far as David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell, but they are going to get usage if you want to use them. Davis, I'll start with you as far as your take on Lev Bell and your boy DJ against these two matchups this week.
So I think David Johnson is very interesting this week because I think that you analyze these running backs matchup neutral. David Johnson is the best player in fantasy. He's on pace for 2,100 yards and 20 touchdowns. His worst game this year came in week 4 against the Rams, and he still got 21 touches, and he lost a fumble in that game. And I don't the Jets have this elite run defense. They were 3rd in rushing defense DVOA, and it just didn't matter for DJ last week because Arians has finally realized that Carson Palmer has no arm left. So they just completely rely on DJ 100% of the time. And he's only $7,400 on DraftKings. And you really have to make the decision on how much matchups matter to you because DeMarco Murray would be, the top overall raw projected points guy, but the Titans are a bad football team. The Cardinals are at least a league average football team, and they're actually favored in this game, which I did not expect when the lines came out. I think there's an outside chance that I end up rostering David Johnson over DeMarco Murray just because I think DJ's floor every week is 15, and if they do get on the goal line, and Vegas expects them to score at least 2.5 times. It's just hard for me to see him ever really killing your lineup.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much value at running back that it's definitely going to be the contrarian thing to do to pay up for all your running backs or to pay up for Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson are not going to have high ownership this week. Silva, what's your take about the running backs?
I mean, probably the same as your guys. There are 4 running backs that are really, really in play to me on FanDuel, and it's Gillislee, Quiz, DeMarco Murray, and Spencer Ware. I want to use some combination of those. And again, I'm really tempted to go cheap at quarterback to try to get in Murray and Spencer Ware. I mean, both home favorites, both horrible run defenses, both guys have 30 touch upside, So I really want to play DeMarco Murray and Spencer Ware together. That's really what I want to do.
Tuttle?
I agree with everything that's been said.
Is this something we just don't overthink it? We just don't overthink it this week at running back?
I don't think you do it right. I mean, obviously, it's going to create some good situations for GPPs as far as because ownership.
Melvin Gordon, mate.
20 DraftKings points, $25, book it.
I mean, what is this going to be?
Book it. Come on, book it. Oh man.
But don't you think that this is one of the lowest ownerships you'll get DJ at all year, considering he's he's the number 1 player in fantasy and he's $7,400 on DraftKings and he's going to be 15% owned.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting to. There's something to be said with these guys that are going to be so low owned that are going to get tons of workload still. I mean, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell. Obviously, the offense is going to take a huge hit with Jones at quarterback, but Le'Veon Bell is going to see 25 touches.
Yeah. Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, Kristen Michael against Arizona at Arizona, and Lamar Miller at Denver, another heavy usage guy that just with a really bad matchup this week. Todd Gurley in that early game against the Giants.
2.9 yards per carry, Todd Gurley.
He needs to be a name we don't mention.
Fella.
Just don't mention anybody from that. All right. There are some pass catching backs. James White, you talked about him last week, Tuttle. Hat tip to you for the James White call. Gio Bernard also with the Bengals, if that's who they want to go with. I don't know what's going to... I don't know what...
Duke Johnson's got the exact same situation. I mean, not the exact because he's got Cody Kessler as quarterback. But Duke Johnson, the same matchup as James White last week. It's an underrated matchup, and he's getting a ton of targets.
Especially if we don't get Pryor. Like, who's going to be catching passes for the Browns this week?
Ricardo Lewis, he's like Ben Gretsch from RotoViz does the air yard stuff. Ricardo Lewis is like one of the guys that his air yards model has pointed out as being undervalued. So if no Pryor, I like Lewis as like he's minimum salary on DraftKings. I would throw him in like 10%.
Anybody on Mike Davis for $3K against Tampa Bay?
No.
All right.
I like LeGarrette Blount a lot on FanDuel. And I mean, I pretty much always like LeGarrette Blount on FanDuel because
revenge game.
Oh, it's like a real revenge game too.
You think?
Yes. You remember when they got like him and Le'Veon got busted for?
Yeah, and he took the fall.
Yeah, he took the fall. The Steelers put out a ton of bad stuff in the news about him in the media. I think this is a game too where the opposing team is going to really struggle to score points, and the Patriots are not. And I think that Belichick makes sure that he gets a touchdown. And I also think that the Steelers' run defense isn't the same without Cameron Hayward. We just saw Jay Ajayi smash him last week out of nowhere. And then a couple of weeks ago, the Eagles running backs like all got off against the Steelers. I mean, they are legitimately struggling in run defense, giving up over 5 yards per carry to opposing running backs over the last 4 games. You got the revenge game narrative. You got the fact that the Steelers or that the Patriots are probably gonna crush them just because the Steelers are going to struggle to generate points. I mean, LeGarrette Blount, everybody wanted to write him off for whatever reason when Tom Brady came back, but he just keeps scoring touchdowns. And I think this week it's another spot where he could have. I mean, I think he has a solid floor actually, and I think that he has multi-touchdown upside.
You know who's a top 12 running back since Tom Brady came back? James White.
Yep.
He's crushed 2 weeks in a row. I'm going to have some of him.
Yeah.
I'm going to have some of both of them.
Yep. Talked about him just a few minutes ago.
I mean, you play James White on DK and you play LeGarrette Blount on FanDuel.
Yep.
And LeGarrette Blount will have zero ownership. I mean, none.
Ownership's going to be super concentrated this week.
Yeah, and he's also the exact same price point as Spencer Ware, and people are just going to use Spencer Ware.
So, I mean, I don't want to get off topic here, but Evan, I can't stop looking at this Geno Smith, DeMarco Murray, Spencer Ware, and Vernon Davis team.
Dude, don't say it out loud.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to wide receiver.
So lit.
Let's move on to wide receiver. I do want to say that I resisted the urge to play Justin Hunter on our DraftKings team.
Oh, wow.
But he is $3K, and he scored a touchdown in the past 2 games.
Dude, I didn't realize. So he's got 2 touchdowns in the past 2 games. Guess how many targets he has?
4?
2.
13.
No, it's like 3 or 4.
4.
I wanted it to be like a surprising answer.
He's got 3 targets.
He's just a touchdown machine.
Whatever. It's Justin Hunter week.
He's
I don't
a touchdown machine. You jam him in. No, let's. Talk.
I mean, I survived Jalen Strong last week. I can survive Justin Hunter.
Let's talk about the.
If no Robert Woods, dude, come on.
Davis, before we talk about the high end options, you were very big on Jeremy Maclin. I thought it was interesting, just because of how bad he's been in the red zone, and typically you're like a red zone whore.
Tuttle can vouch though. I can't quit Jeremy Maclin. It is completely beyond me to quit Jeremy Maclin.
He's like, oh man, Jeremy Macklin's the most expensive he's been all year on DraftKings. Gotta jam him in.
Evan, how many targets has Jeremy Maclin received in the red zone?
Fewer than Tyreek Hill.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when you are playing against the Saints. I think
just take the discount and play Tyreek Hill.
Take the discount and play Chris Conley.
I'm not on Team Maclin. I mean, this Saints passing game just scares me this week.
I mean, at this point, we got to see it with Maclin. He's failed against the Jets. He's failed against the Steelers. He's failed against the Raiders. I mean, those are 3 of the best matchups you can think of. Dude isn't getting any red zone targets. He's not running downfield routes. this team wants to run the football. It's just
the team total is just so big. The team total is just so big, and the Saints are so bad.
But like you saw three consecutive rushing touchdowns last week.
That total on that game is bad. I mean, you bet the under on the total.
I don't know about that. The Chiefs at home, dude, the Chiefs at home can just run it up. And like, I do think the most likely scenario is, 8 targets for 67 yards, something like that for Macklin. But I'm definitely going to take a wide receiver 1 against the Saints, like in tournaments. Like if I think a wide receiver 1 against the Saints is going to be owned at something like 13%, which it could be even lower than that with like how elite the spot is for Julio, AJ Green, and Evans. Like I'm definitely going to have exposure.
Yeah, but you can also play. Silva talked about Brandon Marshall. He's only 600 more on FanDuel, and you know that's where Geno Smith is going to just look every single pass play.
And do we have a Jimmy Smith update, Evan?
Brandon Marshall makes it twerk.
He pumps it 2 or 3 times.
Jimmy Smith update. He was limited practice all week and is listed as questionable. That's usually a sign that a guy with a concussion is more likely than not to play. I would rather him not play, but I mean, Jimmy Smith hasn't been great this year anyways. He's gotten beat for touchdowns. He's given up some long catches. I mean, I'm not afraid of him. It's when Geno played against the Raiders last year, Brandon Marshall had 18 targets. I mean, this is so narrative-y, but Brandon Marshall is the type of guy who can like get in Geno's head, just throw me the ball. Levitan mentioned Mike Evans is the highest raw target projection on the slate, and I mean, I certainly would not disagree with that. I think that Brandon Marshall is right there. The Jets have no chance of running the ball against the Ravens, none whatsoever. And I mean, Brandon Marshall he's going to get just so many targets, man.
Yep.
All right. We've got Julio Jones. Does anybody have a problem with Julio Jones being in play? He's just like really expensive. Is he too expensive? That's like just the ultimate question. Is he going to produce like another dud, or is he going to go all out against his San Diego secondary at home?
I really struggle with him because I mean, he's so awesome. He's so awesome, but there's a lot of different playmakers in that offense. And I mean, I agree that this game is going to be a shootout for sure. I mean, I love him as a play. But he's more expensive than AJ Green, Mike Evans. Certainly he's more expensive than Brandon Marshall. I mean, on FanDuel, he's almost 2,000 more than Brandon Marshall. And he doesn't have as strong of a target floor as those guys. And I'm also not sure that he has as high of a target ceiling as those guys. So, I mean, I struggle with Julio and Cash. I mean, I don't know. I would love to hear your guys' take on it.
I think for price point, like if you go, like it all depends on what you're doing with the running backs and the quarterback and the tight end. But if you're going cheap at like 2 out of those 3 positions, then you've got all the salary in the world to do whatever you want. I mean, that's the thing. Like,
I think the decision you'll be forced to make is AJ Green versus Julio Jones. Like, I think that's the decision because I just am not going to do the Geno thing, so I don't think having all 3 is viable. So I think, for me, it would just be Julio. I think just because we've seen the monster upside, like he's like, I'm willing to embrace some more volatility because I've mostly been playing head-to-heads as opposed to 50-50s this year, and I want to, I just want to have some differentiators and stuff. So like, I'm willing to play for the guy who I think can score 35 DraftKings points.
I mean, if you're doing the Geno thing, you are embracing volatility for sure. And the reason that you're doing it is to play Julio Jones for his mammoth upside.
Right. And Davis,
we're going to win. We are going to win or we're going to lose.
Yeah.
And that, and then we move on to the next week.
Right. And Davis, you were talking about not playing Geno Smith, but you were talking about wanting if you did, it'd be to get DraftKings points, but you're not really considering Geno Smith on DraftKings. Like this is.
I mean, I'm not considering. I personally am not considering.
I know.
Geno.
I'm just talking about for the listener, for the viewer. Like you don't.
Yes.
I want to make sure that
touch them on DraftKings.
Right. That it's just a FanDuel only play, but like the ultimate stars and scrubs matchup is to go Geno, Quiz, Gillislee, pair him with whoever you want. Julio, AJ, Mike Evans, and then you can still go Gronk with that lineup. Like,
for the first time ever, one of our people in chat actually made a good point. David Thorne, he said the hidden value for Macklin this week, and I know we kind of passed it, but the hidden value in Macklin is that he leads you to a really differentiated roster construction. Like you're going to get a lot of really good ownership percentages if you take Macklin instead of one of those big three guys, and I really agreed with that point. So I just wanted to give him a little bit of credit for that.
As far as some other potential options, you've got Adam Humphries, who's really cheap on both sides. Like he's kind of this vanilla GPP play that lets you play like expensive running backs and expensive quarterback if you want. But like, who else is going to get the targets other than Mike Evans for this team?
The Brait God.
That's awesome.
Like Brait is like slam dunk play for me on DraftKings.
I mean, he caught one pass in that last game.
I'm just telling you, fella. This is the spot.
All right. Other cheapies.
Well, I got a Tuttle's terrible take for a cheapie.
Yes.
Chester Rogers.
Yes.
Boom. Tuttle's terrible take.
Philip Dorsett's been awful. T.Y. Hilton has been...
And Dorsett's now out this week.
Philip Dorsett is
Not that
so
it really
bad.
matters. Not that it really matters.
Bad.
And T.Y. Hilton's been banged up. Like, did he return to practice today, Evan?
Yeah, he's good to go. But I mean, Chester Rogers. I mean, I'm with you. He's like a long shot. You know, he's a long shot dude who is like his role is growing steadily, and now I mean he's gonna be a full-time player this week for sure.
And he's definitely like a leverage play, a pivot play off of everyone who's going to have Jack Doyle shares as well.
That'll be me. I will definitely have Jack Doyle.
Me
shares.
too. Me too.
Dude, he has.
I don't get the Jack Doyle obsession.
All right, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a second. We're about to make a FanDuel lineup. Talking about some other wide receivers, though. Smith is out. Mike Wallace had, I think, 9 targets last week. Like, he's just a very boom or bust play. And then also you talked about Deshaun Jackson. Any other GPP plays that you guys want to mention before we start making a FanDuel team?
We didn't touch on Allen Robinson, did we?
No, we didn't. Or
Marvin Jones as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I did want to take some of these teams that are just riddled by injuries, the receivers. We just talked about the Colts. It looks like Deshaun Jackson is going to play. But the Lions, the same reasoning why you're going to take Golden Tate potentially on DraftKings this week, potentially Marvin Jones as well, is because they don't have any other really receiving options, and it's just like a volume play. What are your thoughts on those two guys, Evan?
Marvin Jones, I mean, is he even a volume play?
Well, he wasn't last week. We got really excited. People that jammed him in last week.
Yeah, his targets have been in steady descent. Are they going to rebound against like a top 10 pass defense with a chance that Josh Norman chases him? I'm not seeing it with Marvin Jones. Who was the other guy?
Golden Tate.
Yeah, I guess smart people were on him last week. Like I wasn't on him at all.
Are you chasing points this week?
No.
He's definitely a DraftKings play for me. He's in play on DraftKings.
Incredible call by Dink. I mean, Dink is a smart dude.
I have one terrible take I need to get off my chest before we do the FanDuel team. Jordan Reed out. The obvious beneficiary is Vernon Davis, who ran 35 pass routes on 35 Kirk Cousins dropbacks. But Jamison Crowder saw his a big snap increase. Deshaun Jackson is banged up. The reason that I've been off of Crowder the last month or so has been they've been playing a ton of 2 tight end sets, but now as Paul only played 22 snaps last week with only 1 tight end sets, Crowder sees his role increase. I will have some shares of him in DK tournaments.
Yeah. All right. Any other GPP plays? Tuttle, do you want to talk about Allen Robinson?
There's not much to say. I mean, he obviously hasn't gone over 75 yards yet this year, I don't think. This is going to be one of the shootouts of the week. It's a good. He makes a really good game stack. Throw Bortles, Robinson, and average Amari in the lineup.
Average Amari,
and you're good to go. Throw Julius Thomas too for the double stack, and you're good.
All right. My last hot take for wide receivers would be Jarvis Landry. You saw his targets go down a little bit. He didn't have double-digit targets. He had 3 targets against Tennessee, 9 against Pittsburgh, but 7 for 91. Last year, in his 2 games against the Bills, he did pretty good. I think he had 13 targets in each of those games. So Jarvis Landry, I think, is a good GPP play.
I guess I'll throw one out. Tyrell Williams.
Yes.
Do we have news on Travis Benjamin?
He's listed as questionable, but he's likely to play. I mean, he gets so much red zone work. I mean, he has 9 red zone targets. That's second in the league. And he also leads the team in targets inside the 10-yard line. He's 6'4". When the Falcons – it seems like the Falcons like to use Desmond Trufant to chase smaller receivers. He chased Brandon Cooks. He actually chased Doug Baldwin into the slot last week. He chased Emmanuel Sanders a little bit. And those big receivers did not see as much of him. So, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with Desmond Trufant, but based on the fact that they have been using him so far to chase smaller receivers, I sort of think that there's a chance that he would chase Benjamin as opposed to Tyrell Williams. And Benjamin also has the most targets on the Chargers. So that would leave some leave Tyrell Williams in a pretty interesting spot if that occurred. I don't know if that's going to happen. It's a GPP play, but you have significant touchdown upside from the red zone usage. You have a game that is going to be a shootout indoors. You have a player who's in a spot who, where his team is likely to be trailing. And you have the possibility that he could be against a significantly weaker corner than the number 1 guy. And that makes Tyrell Williams a great GPP play, I think.
So good.
All right, let's move on to FanDuel, the lineup creation. And Evan, I'm going to let you pop the bottle of champagne and do your play that you wanted to play on here.
Well, should we just make a Geno one just to see what it looks like?
I was gonna play Geno if you weren't.
We could also do a Bucks onslaught.
I want you,
which is fun.
You had a guy that you said you were gonna save for FanDuel, though.
Yeah, that's what we want to know.
It was Brandon Marshall.
Okay, let's do it.
So we still use it. So let's just do the Geno Brandon Marshall stack. Obviously.
Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Man, so people are gonna be so mad when Geno goes off.
I mean, Geno isn't going off. What you're hoping for is
he's gonna go off for his 12 points, and people are gonna be so mad.
You're hoping for 210 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 30 rushing yards, and then if he runs one in or throws another one,
it's out. Yeah, it's full.
It's out. Yeah, it is. It's full.
All right, Davis, how are you going to ruin our Geno Smith lineup?
So we're taking Geno.
Geno Marshall stack.
By the way, our onslaught lineups have just been murdering, haven't they? We did
the Seahawks one didn't do great because Russ didn't throw for a touchdown.
Yeah, Baldwin too.
True.
All right, I'll just go ahead and since Davis has taken his time, I'll go ahead because this might change the dynamics of this, but I do want to play Gronkowski in this lineup.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's do it then.
Because he is like he says he's ready to go, and even on 7 targets last week, I mean, he just went ham. As far as like the other guys, I feel like everyone has question marks except for Gronk, and he could really like you go from a grower to a shower with Gronkowski in your lineups.
What in the hell?
Well, all right. We just bottom it out. All right, Davis, save this show.
David Johnson.
All right, I like it.
Okay. Sunday Night Hammer.
Sunday Night Hammer.
Tuttle?
You know what? Let's just make this a crazy lineup. I'm going to go Le'Veon Bell.
Wow.
That I'm not as crazy about. I think the Steelers could just be so bad.
Like, I mean, it's possible.
Like, I think I would like Melvin Gordon. I think I like the Melvin Gordon take a little bit.
So here's what's going to happen, though. In Geno Smith lineups, people are going to play the same running backs.
Yes.
Pay up for the same wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm basically just saying, okay, let's go with 2 high-priced running backs here and differentiate our lineups with our wide receivers.
Evan?
Yeah.
Should I stick with the theme of bad plays?
How bad?
High volume plays. Stick with this theme of high volume.
Yeah, we're mashing in the high volume plays.
This is a mash volume lineup. Marshall, Johnson, and Bell.
I'll just go with Tyrell Williams.
Yeah, swag.
I like it.
Tyrell's such a good play.
All right. I'm going to go with spending up on defense all the way to the very top, the Cincinnati defense, 5,100. Against this Cleveland team, like, I don't think it can be understated.
Why not the Vikes, mate?
What's that?
Why not the Vikes, mate? They score a touchdown like every game.
Well, you have to think about who Cleveland has on their off. Like, they're going to be without Pryor. They've got Kessler They got like Kessler and Barnage, and that's pretty much it. Everybody else, I think that they're just going to have their way with them. Vontez Perfect is going to just like take out everybody. So I think the Bengals are a good pay for them and hope for like 14, 15 FanDuel points.
Yeah. All right.
So if we go like 4,500 for a kicker,
we can play Jamison Crowder.
Oh, is he what? How much is he?
6,200.
Oh, I was gonna say we could pay for Matt Bryant and get our Atlanta high team total.
This
exposure.
range is so dead on FanDuel.
Yeah, it's real bad.
We could go Garcon at 6,100.
We got him in the other lineup. I'm one thing I'm not doing this week is doubling down on Garcon.
And I'm not. You guys aren't talking me into doubling down on Jamison Crowder either.
You know what we could do?
We could take one of these boring Cincinnati guys like LaFell.
I feel like this lineup is so bad that we should just play a guy who is out. Like who's going to be?
This lineup isn't that bad.
This is a volume line. I stand by this lineup. I mean, if we wanted to get off of Kitchen paying up so much on defense, we could throw Davis a bone and play Jeremy Macklin.
I was about to say that. You go 4,400.
Yeah, throw me a bone. It's been a rough show. Chat's been coming up my neck all show.
Yeah, let's throw Davis a bone here and play Jeremy Macklin.
There we go. This is actually a defensible team now.
Jeremy Macklin with his 2 red zone targets through 6 weeks. His touchdown projection is like his touchdown probability is like 0.001.
He's gonna smash, Evan. He's gonna smash.
So what defense are we playing? Are we playing
Patriots.
the Titans?
Titans and suck up. We get that.
Yeah, there we go. we got the kicker defense onslaught.
I'm going with Bryant and the Patriots.
Whew, this is gonna win me $300,000.
So you're gonna play the Patriots defense against Le'Veon.
Yep.
Yeah, the typical David move right there.
That's DGAF right there.
I mean,
that's kitchen.
We played. I don't think it's DGAF because, I mean, what's Le'Veon Bell? He's not going to score a touchdown. That's for sure. He's just going to get a bunch of passes.
He's not going to score a touchdown.
He's allergic to the end zone.
Let's definitely put him in our FanDuel lineup because he's not going to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
He's not going to score.
Get ready for it. Oh my
37 total touches for 89 yards, 0 touchdowns.
It's going to be so good.
His ice bath Sunday night is going to take like 9 hours because he's going to be so beat up from Rob Nigovich punching him in the kidneys.
All right, let's talk about tight end. Let's talk about tight end, please. Tuttle doesn't get Jack Doyle.
I mean, I get it.
Do you?
I would just rather play like Vernon Davis and Cameron Brate.
Do you get it, or do you need Davis to explain it to you?
The double narrative. He was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, and he was drafted and then cut by the Titans. He has the rare friends and family game plus narrative game. I assume his friends and family come to like every game because he's from
Davis. You said this on the Sirius show, but now that you're saying that, like, you realize this game's in Tennessee.
Yeah, so he's loyal to the Colts though.
What does his hometown have to do with like playing in Tennessee?
Because he fights for the logo, man.
I know, but you just said friends and family.
He has extra motivation to play for the Colts.
I know, but he said friends and family
matters more than the name on the back. He's
a
soldier.
Davis, time to tell the truth. Did you realize this game was going to be in Tennessee?
Absolutely.
No, you didn't.
No,
you did not.
The thing is that I didn't put it together like why it wouldn't be a friends and family game.
But that makes the cut revenge even stronger.
So it's the cut revenge is very real.
Playing in Tennessee, okay. I'm not doubting the cut revenge. The whole hometown thing. It's just not Adam Thielen we're talking about here. It's Jack Doyle. All right. We got Jack Doyle's going to see a heavy volume. You've got Vernon Davis, again, he could be an option.
Vernon Davis is like, it's disgusting how good of a play he is because he's Vernon Davis, but it's so
he's a good player.
He's like the play though.
Andrew Wiggins told me he would disown me if I played Vernon Davis last week, so I played Delaney Walker.
Yeah, Delaney was super sharp.
So I will say, I think tight end is like an amazing spot to differentiate your lineups and pay up with guys like Delaney Walker and Rob Gronkowski in GPPs, because there's can be so much ownership concentrated on
Kelsey,
Doyle, and Vernon Davis. Kelsey, yeah, I do like Delaney Walker.
No, he can't play anyone against the Chiefs, or it can't play anyone against the Saints other than the running backs.
Hey, my favorite GPP tight end is Gary Barnidge.
Yes,
Gronkowski.
So Cody Kessler is a really accurate passer. You know, he doesn't have like a super high skill level, but I mean, if you look at Gary Barnidge, his catch rate since Cody Kessler took over, I mean, he hasn't been making a lot of big plays, although he did make a big play last week. But he's had like a really high catch rate. I mean, he had a game where he caught 7 of 7 targets. He had a game where he had caught 5 of 6, 5 of 8, 3 of 5 with the big play. So if no Terrell Pryor, Gary Barnidge is a guy who, I mean, he could suddenly see like 10 targets and catch like 8 or 9 of them. You know, or maybe even more targets than that in a game where the Browns are likely to be throwing the ball a lot. Gary Barnidge really has not been in play yet. He does not have a single red zone target on the year. But, I mean, this is a really good spot, especially if Pryor's out. Maybe even if Pryor is in too, or if he's technically active, because, I mean, the dude apparently hasn't even been able to run. He couldn't practice at all week. Gary Barnidge is cheap. I think he's at the same price on FanDuel as Cameron Brate.
He's $5,200.
Yes, yeah,
and he's $3,200 on DraftKings. I think he's a great play on both because he's the number one option. In the same token, against a bad defense, I think Pitta without Steve Smith is also an option because he got 10 targets last week as well. Like you're talking about against a bad secondary with no other receiving options, these two guys are in play.
Pitta's just so useless in the red zone. No red zone targets all year.
Well, I mean, Cleveland might not get in the red zone as far as that offense goes. but I hear you.
I think Doyle is. I think I just talked to myself into Doyle over Brait. Oh man, Jack Doyle, mate. I wonder what his player profiler comp is.
I think I'm going to go with Vernon Davis on FanDuel at stone minimum. I mean, he has the best possible matchup for a tight end. He played 97% of the snaps last week. He's got more big play ability than Jack Doyle or Cameron Brate. And
oh my God.
I just saw the comp.
It's Jim Dre. Jim Dre is Jack Doyle's player profiler comp.
Look at that 40-yard dash and height adjusted speed score.
Oh my God.
13th percentile for both.
The reason why I don't think you have to play Vernon Davis is just because what we talked about previously.
Because Geno opens up so much.
Right. The price plays. Yeah. I mean, we play Geno, so we do not have to play Vernon Davis.
Right, but Vernon Davis is a legit good play. I mean,
yeah, he is.
He's a legitimately good play at stone minimum. I mean, that's hard to find. I mean, he's a guy who he's so cheap that even if
how many targets? Like, that's the question: is how many targets is he going to get?
Even if he does nothing, like it doesn't even hurt you really. I mean,
it does if everyone else goes off. Like it hurts you if Doyle, Pitta, Barnage, Gronk, they all go off, and he doesn't.
That does hurt you.
Yeah,
but I mean, he's going to be on the field the whole game, and he has the best possible matchup for a tight end. I mean, I don't.
Levitan tweeted the stats over the Lions' last 22 games. They've allowed 19 touchdowns to the tight end position.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Let's all get us some VD this weekend.
You know, Cleveland's really bad against the tight end as well, and it wasn't Delaney Walker last week. It was Anthony Fasano, the tight end that scored for the Titans. So it doesn't always work out.
True.
All right. Good stuff, guys. I mean, the tight end, again, another one of these things where it's going to be the play that wins you a tournament or not. Or it's not going to be what's going to potentially lose your cash games, but if you get it right, it's going to be the thing that wins.
I think if you get tight end wrong this week in cash games, you're going to be like a big underdog.
It just depends, I guess, and if you're using Geno or Matt Ryan in cash.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Thanks to Evan Silva. You can catch him on Twitter at Evan Silva. You can catch his weekly matchups column there on rotoworld.com. Always good getting Evan on the show. And Evan, who's your guy? Is it Brandon Marshall? Is he the Bennett Cooks play for week 7?
I mean, I don't want to put a lot of pressure on myself.
I know, but
I get so much stuff wrong.
But you have done this to yourself. You've done this to yourself by having the GOAT calls of Bennett and Cooks the past 2 weeks. You've raised the bar. I
mean, I don't want to do that. I just say I think that Brandon Marshall is an awesome play, and I think he's going to be low owned, and I think that you can use him in both cash. I think he's safe for cash, and I think that he has big upside for tournaments. Right. I mean, his offense is going to be more concentrated in Brandon Marshall's direction than the Falcons' offense is going to be concentrated in Julio Jones's direction.
Hashtag Geno in cash. We're all down for it except for Davis Mattek. You can catch Dan's article up on fantasyinsider.com. It's the Tuttle's takes. And
Odell Beckham cover boy last week.
Okay. All right. I see you.
Melvin Gordon's got a lot to live up to.
And then Davis with his automatic absolutes. You can also catch us on the pod.
You got the name right.
What's that?
You got the name right.
Yeah,
I think for the first time in the history of the show.
I did last week too. All right, everybody. Good luck in your week 7 matchups. We'll catch you next week, Friday, whatever time Evan tells us. That's what time we'll be broadcasting. We'll catch you then.